Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this joint webinar on Splunk Security on Cloud. I would like to thank everyone who took their precious time from their busy scheduled day to join this webinar. Today, we have three dignitary speakers, one from Positka and two from Reddington, India. Our main speaker is Mr. Murugan. Mr. Murugan is a SIEM and SOAR consultant and also technical manager at Positka. He has 12 years of experience in security domain and from last 5 years he is working in Splunk security. Apart from Murugan, we have two co-speakers from Reddington, India, Ms. Himashri Patil. She is a Splunk technical specialist at Reddington, and then we have Mr. Prasad Thorat. He is a Splunk technical specialist from Reddington. All of you be ready for a quick poll at the end to win exciting prizes. We will flash the question on the screen and you have to give your answer in the chat box. We will later announce three winners and they will get exciting coupons. So stay tuned. Over to you, Morgan, now.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Vikash. Let me quickly share my screen. Please let me know if you are able to see it. Okay. Okay. Once again, thank you everyone for joining today. So we will talk about Splunk security on cloud. So how do we go about security with Splunk on cloud is a topic of discussion for today. So for the agenda, we will start off with what is a SOC and how a SOC matures. And we will move on to the infrastructure and how the infrastructure on cloud can help a SOC. And we'll talk about Splunk security portfolio. We'll talk about Splunk's offerings, and then we will go into the demo. Okay, just give me one moment. I just need to enable my video. Okay. All right. So yeah, so we'll look at a live demo. So we'll look at an attack scenario and see how Splunk and SOAR can help detect and automate a response. Post which we'll have Q&A sessions where you can ask your questions, and you can also put the questions in your chat box, or you can also unmute yourself and ask me questions. So feel free to do that. So we'll start off with SOC. So what is SOC and how it's here? So SOC, or Security Operations Center, is a command center facility with a with a team in charge of defending an organization against cyber attacks. The first main responsibility of the SOC's defense strategy is protection. It includes threat hunting, system monitoring, backup, and recovery. Monitoring an organization's device for signs of security incidents is a primary responsibility in order to protect assets such as database, desktops, servers, etc. So most organizations with the SOC keep the facility running 24/7 with employees that work in shifts so that the systems are never left unprotected. If an incident is detected, the Security Operations Center takes necessary measures to remove the risk, mitigate the damage, and protect the system from similar incidents in the future. The second responsibility of the SOC is detection. Detection includes things like asset discovery and management, continuous system and behavioral monitoring, log maintenance, compliance auditing. And the SOC also works to strengthen the incident prevention tactics before vulnerabilities are detected. This is done through ongoing threat intelligence efforts, research, system development, and maintenance. A SOC is a part of an organization's incident response strategy and can be tailored to fit a company. SOC is ideal for organizations with highly sensitive information that may result in expensive damages or costs if the data is breached. The SOC can provide an organization with benefits like uninterrupted monitoring for suspicious activity, improved incident detection and response time, higher customer satisfaction and security, and more transparent control over security operations. So how does a SOC operate, and how do they protect or defend an organization from a cyber security attack? So SOC employs people, process, and technology to continuously monitor and improve an organization's security posture. The SOC, acts like a hub or a central command post, taking telemetry information, taking data from across the organization's IT infrastructure, including its network, devices, appliance, and information store. So this data is, typically collected in an SIEM to store and process it, so that the SIEM can analyze, identify anomalies, correlate, and evaluate, and even evaluate it with data coming from an external threat intelligence source to bring context to it. Essentially, SOC is the correlation point of every event log within the organization that is being monitored. For each of these events, the SOC must decide how they will be managed and how they will be acted upon. So how do they mature? The only constant when it comes to technology is change. So naturally, security is a journey and it's not a destination. When an organization wants to secure, they naturally mature their security posture over time. They start by solving specific problems like making sure that the PCs are all covered with antivirus. Then they move to solving larger company-wide issues using data from many different domains. Next comes the development of SOC, which starts with getting their arm around the operations and process. Then along comes the collaborative SOC, which is really just a fancy way of saying they are taking advantage of automation and orchestration. The really mature security organizations have developed a nerve center for security, centered around answering questions like what happened, who is affected, where did it start, how did it get in, and what should I do next? It sounds simple, but organizations will also need to constantly assess the nature of the present day threats, evolve to make effective decisions while building their nerve center. Sorry, one more. Yeah. So, as an organization goes about building the security nerve center, so they are having to shift their focuses and roles of from their legacy ways to a more in a way that is suited to this day and age. So they have to be more, they were earlier very responsive, like, only when an alert gets triggered, they will respond to that alert. So they will have situational awareness. From the situational awareness, they will have to move on to a stage where they are more analysis driven. And then, basically less human, more computer. And two, they have to move from a passive way of monitoring approach to a command center mindset, stopping, they have to stop waiting for alerts and instead proactively figure out problems before they happen. Three, the modern SOC has, become less dependent on human-only decisions and processes and instead become more reliant on combined human and machine learning approach. Again, less human and more compute. Four, the SOC has to scale from human speed operation to machine speed operation. So basically, the SOC has to shift focus from, has to become less human, and they have to focus on becoming more automated, more computer. Companies and organizations are now rethinking the human to compute ratio as they reach their limits of observation, orientation, decision making, and taking effective actions. A sound strategy is to scale the SOC team with technology, streamline and automate the key elements of the response and remediation cycle. These are all the more reasons why a SOC team must modernize their security operations by building the nerve center that we just spoke about to stay ahead of the present day threats. So let's talk about this nerve center a bit. So this is where Splunk comes in. Splunk is uniquely positioned to address security challenges. Splunk can drive modernization in the SOC to better detect, respond, and most importantly, adapt at machine speed. This is only possible with the analytics-driven approach to security and turn the SOC into a nerve center for security. Splunk is actually driving an industry shift, delivering the innovation required to power a new generation of security and operations center. With Splunk at the nerve center, with Splunk as a nerve center, organizations can optimize people, process, and the technology. Security teams can leverage statistical, visual, behavioral, and exploratory analytics to drive insights, decisions and actions. And most importantly, Splunk's vision of the security nerve center helps organizations answer the critical questions faster, such as what happened, who is impacted, where did it start, how did it get in, and what should be done next. So Splunk can also help analysts connect the disparate technologies together, their data, their insights, their actions, allowing them to share and gain a context to leverage analytical and machine learning capabilities. This ultimately helps make better, faster, and more effective decisions across security. Not just security, even IT operations and every other part of the enterprise. So in the next section, we are going to talk about the infrastructure and how moving to cloud will benefit a SOC team. Before we talk in detail, I want to quickly bring up a poll so that I can get some responses from the participants. So Vikas, could you please bring up the poll? So these are the two questions which I want you guys to answer. So these are simple questions. So the response to the first question is more SIEM and SOAR. 65% have answered SIEM and SOAR. And for the second question, it's 50-50. So 50% are on on-prem and 50% are on SaaS. Right. Thank you very much for answering that. So let me quickly share the results so that you all can take a look. Okay. Okay, I'll move on with the next slide. So we'll talk about the infrastructure. So traditionally, a SOC team will have a SIEM solution. So a SIEM solution basically will collect logs from all the endpoints and collect events from all your other security devices like firewalls, AV, EDR, even cloud platforms. So the SIEM solves two major use cases. So it will, from the events and logs, it will detect cybersecurity attacks, and it will help us investigate when there is an indicator of compromise. And the second one is compliance audit. So those are like the two major use cases that SIEM will help solve. Next solution is SOAR. So SIEM can take care of the detection. So basically, helps an organization helps organization make the decision, and do the response to the security incidents that have been captured by the SIEM. So the SIEM does the analytics, it correlates with all the data sources, generates the alerts and sends these alerts to SOAR, and SOAR will do the activity of decision making based on the automation that has been built into it, and then it will take the appropriate remediation actions like blocking or detonating or investigation. So these two solutions together solve three major use cases. So they become like a central location for all your logs and data. So you can unify the logs at a central location, and then you can detect incidents and investigate the incidents and respond. So basically, the solutions help us prioritize incidents. It helps us to effectively analyze and respond in a timely manner. But even with these solutions in place, the SOC does struggle in three areas. So the first one is limited resources. So even you have the solutions in place, without the skill, you will not be able to quickly respond to incidents. So resource shortage is one of the major reasons the SOC struggles. Also the infrastructure. So you'll have to maintain the infrastructure. When I say maintain, I mean the hardware has to be maintained separately. The software has to be maintained separately. It has to be patched. It has to be upgraded. And when we talk about on-prem infrastructure, we're definitely talking about downtime. Okay, so there's going to be downtime. There's going to be outages. So that is one of the major challenges, and also scaling. So when an organization acquires another organization, their data and their alert volume is going to increase by 2-folds or even 10-folds. So scaling the infrastructure, scaling the tools infrastructure to accommodate all of that data and the alerts is time consuming, and it's very expensive. Right. So to address these challenges, Splunk has its cloud-based premium solutions, SaaS solutions. So one is enterprise security, and the other one is their SOAR automation, security operations and automation, orchestration and automation solution called Splunk Phantom. So looking at the Splunk portfolio, so Splunk has two premium SaaS solutions, Splunk Enterprise Security and Phantom. So it has a large ecosystem of apps. So they have apps for the major OEMs, so the well-known OEMs, all the well-known OEMs. And then they have apps to help us with PCI compliance. They have apps with content update. Content update basically is use cases. So they have ready to use use cases that are just plug and play. So all of these integrations and these apps are available in the Splunk SaaS solutions that any organization can immediately leverage. Any questions so far?
Sorry to disturb you, Morgan. Can you switch off your video? There is some audio problem, I guess.
Okay. Is the audio better now? Okay. So any questions? So I see a question about PPT. Yes, of course, we'll share the PPT after the session. Okay, so So I want to do the case study. So I want to do the case study so that you'll be able to follow the demo. So without the case study, the demo would be quite difficult to follow. So typically, most attacks starts with the compromised credentials, which then the attacker uses to get into the system and steal information before the credentials could be reset. Right? So in this demo, we'll be looking at data from such a simulated attack captured in Splunk, utilizing the common integrations found in Splunk base. So Splunk base is the app store where you have all these apps with which you can perform the integration with Splunk. I mean, integrations with all the known OEMs. Yeah, so we will be looking at these 4 detections captured and grouped by the risk analysis framework in Splunk. When I say Splunk, I mean Splunk Enterprise Security. So the detection will start from log on from an unusual location, and it will end with malicious code execution. So now it's very crucial for an organization to reduce the mean time to investigate and resolve this case before the bad actor can steal the information from the organization, right? So let us take a look at how automation and orchestration capabilities in Splunk security operations suite can help make quick, informed, and powerful decisions to respond and mitigate the risk. So let me stop sharing for a second and okay. To share. Okay. So you are looking at the main dashboard of Splunk Enterprise Security. So Splunk Enterprise Security is the SIEM solution that gathers all the data, normalizes the data, and correlates the data and detects security incidents. So incident review is the main dashboard where we can look at all the security incidents captured by the Splunk Enterprise Security. So we'll give it a minute for it to load. Okay, so yeah, so Splunk Enterprise Security has a lot of investigation dashboards, and it has a lot of frameworks built into it. So there is an incident management framework, there's a threat intel framework, there's a risk-based analytics framework. So all these frameworks work together and form this SIEM solution. And we will be looking at a detection from the risk-based analytics framework. So the user that we are going to focus on is Theodore. So we're going to look at the attack. So the scenario that I described. So Theodore is the user who has succumbed to the attack. So and the Splunk Enterprise Security has the risk-based analytics framework within Splunk Enterprise Security has captured a lot of details. So let's take a look at what it has captured. So clicking on the drop down, I can see the details of the incident. So I can look at the description and I can see that Windows process has been executed from a temp directory. There is an unusual traffic originating from this source and for that user, and then access attempts from improbable locations. So basically the user has logged in from 2 different locations, 2 or even more locations that are geographically very far away. On the right, you can see a history. you can see the history panel. In the history panel, we can see that there's already some information populated, and the Splunk SOAR platform has done the, has updated this section. So, so it has already done some automation. It has collected some information and it has updated it here. So let's take a look at what actually the SOAR has done. So I can actually open this link, or I can go to directly to this event. So, so event number 127. Okay, so Splunk Enterprise Security is pushing the events to Phantom, and these events are called containers. So every container can have a severity and a sensitivity rating. So we are going to look at the container for the user Fyodor, which is 127. So the view that you're looking at is called the summary view, and this first timeline. So basically, this timeline tells us what actions or activity has been performed on this event so far. The next tab is called book. Workbook is a workflow of how the investigation or what actions needs to be in this incident is detected. So this acts like a guide for the analyst, basically to perform his investigation. And work can be tailor-fit for any organization based on the framework they follow. And there are a lot of workbooks available out of the box that you can leverage and customize it, or you can even easily build your own workbook through the UI. Next is the evidence tab. So this is a location where we can store the evidence. So based on the investigation, when we can store the information here. And notes is basically a place where we can place some notes. So say for example, if you want to escalate, you can put a note here saying that you're escalating. If you want to add detail, you can add that as well. So we can see that there's already some notes here, and it says that it's auto-generated. So basically, the SOAR platform has some as notes. So let's go to the workbook. So in workbook, we can see that the initial triage is the current phase. And this phase has 3 tasks. So at the moment, none of the tasks have been completed. So let's take a look at the task and see what they are. So we can click on the description to understand what these tasks are about. So basically, this task has done some pre-processing, and it's going to start the investigation. So basically, assign the owner and set the status for the task. So let's run this. Let's run the play. And what happens? So the playbook has started successfully. Sorry, I think there's some message in the chat. This is not clear. Is it done? Let me give me a second. Let me change my network. Am I audible? Okay, and I hope the screen is visible. Okay, so in the initial triage, there are 3 tasks, as I said earlier. So the first task is about the pre-processing. So we're going to, the automation is going to triage the incident. So we ran that task and we can see that the owner has been assigned as admin and the status has been set to open automatically. And the task has also been completed. So at this juncture, I want to take you to another view called the analyst view so that I can show you about the automation that, that is happening in the backend. So I can go into activity. So all of these items that you see here with the tick mark are the automations themselves. They are called playbooks. So let me open one of the playbooks and show you how it looks like. So playbooks are, the engine that power the automation. So these are powerful, it has a powerful drag drop blocks. You can simply drag and drop them and can input information into them to take the necessary action. So this is an example of one of the playbooks. And there are many such playbooks in the community out of the box that you can leverage while building your automation. So I'll go back to the summary view and go back to the task. So the first task has been completed automatically. If you can see here, the task has been completed automatically when we ran that playbook. So now we can move on to the next phase of this, the next task in this phase, which is the investigate task. So the description says that we're going to review additional information. So it's going to look at all the evidences collected by the playbook, and it's going to help us review the information and decide whether the information needs to be merged into a single incident or not. So let's run that task. So the playbook has started successfully, and now it has given me a prompt saying that there are related events. So we can take a look at the related events. So it says that there are similar or related events to this incident, and it's asking us what kind of response needs to be done, whether we need to merge all, whether we need to merge individually or do nothing. So for this demo, I'm going to select do nothing and going to click on complete. So when I click on complete, the automation is going to take care of the remaining tasks, and it's going to proceed. So now we have completed this review, and now in the description says that we have to complete the task once we have reviewed the information. So let's complete the task, and now we'll move on to the next task. So basically we have information, but we actually haven't reviewed it. The playbook has brought the information. It has showed us all the relevant information, and now it has added some notes. So let's take a look at the notes that we have here. So just by a glance, we can see that there are two IP addresses involved. One is from UK, Great Britain, and the other is from US. So this immediately tells us that the credentials was used from two different locations to access the system. And then it has also identified an MD5 hash, a malicious hash that was executed on the command line. So now that we've reviewed the information, now we need to take an action, a remedial action. So we move on to the next task where we render the verdict. Basically, we're going to say what action needs to be done. So we're going to start the task and take a look at the description saying like, to see if there's any relevant information. So we're going to run this task now. So basically this risk notable will load all the available playbooks for the response options. So basically it is going to ask us what kind of response needs to be made. So if you notice, there was a prompt. So let's go to the prompt and see what it is asking us. So it's asking us to select one of the relevant response plans. Response plans are basically the automation. So what automation needs to be done? So here we are going to select the mitigate option. So as we want to mitigate the bad indicators, so let's select mitigate and complete the task. So as I did that, as you can see, we can see that another phase has been added to the investigation now. And there is also a prompt to select the indicators. So I'll click on the indicators. So there are 3 indicators, 2 IPs and 1 hash. So just because we saw the login from these IPs doesn't mean that these are bad IPs, and we did not see any information related to IP reputation. So we're not going to make any action on this IP. So we'll just select do nothing, but we want to block this hash. We want to ensure that this hash is eliminated from the environment. So I'll click block and I'll click complete. And as I do that, you can see that the task has automatically been, it has been marked as completed. So the action that we took is to block the hash. Now we'll move on to the next phase in this investigation, which is the mitigate phase. So here I can see that there are 2 tasks. So in these 2 tasks, there is one playbook that we need to run. So let's review the tasks description and see what it says. So it says that the risk notable review indicators creates a prompt for you to use to review suspicious indicators and investigate playbooks and mark them to be blocked. So we already did that in the previous step. And there is also a risk notable block indicators. Then find the indicators that has marked blocked and pass them to playbook designed to mitigate those indicators. So this is the second one that we need to run. So basically we have told the automation what needs to be done. Now we have to run the automation to actually block the hash. Before that, there is also another prompt here for the protect prompt. So let's click on this prompt and see what this is about. So this is talking about protecting the assets and users. So it has brought a lot of related information. So it's saying that this user has been related with all of these users. So there is relevant information with these users as well. So what do you want to do for these users? So I want to protect this Fyodor asset. So I'm going to say yes, but I don't want to take any action on the other users for now. So I'm just going to say no for all the other users. So basically I'm taking the mitigate action and I'm going to click complete. So here on the risk notable block indicators, I'm going to click start task. So we say I'm starting the task, and now I can run this automation. Now this automation will automatically block all the indicators, all the bad indicators. So now that we've done with that work, we can mark the task as complete. And we can move on to the protect asset and users. So the automation is already ran, so we can mark this task as also completed. So as we saw, right, this is something, the investigation that we just did is something an analyst can take hours to do. Of course, this is a simulated demo. But in real life, even in real life scenario, what an analyst can do for hours can be, reduced to a matter of mere minutes. So all the the results of automation can be seen in the evidence tab. So we can see that in the action results, this device has been quarantined for the user, and we can see the artifacts and things like that. And in the notes tab, we can see all the notes that has been added by the automation. So yeah, so that's how the Splunk enterprise security and SOAR platform work together, and can help investigate and respond to an incident in a quick manner. So since we have some time, let me also show you how we can create a simple playbook. So I've clicked on new playbook. So now I can give a name to the playbook here, something like play one. So all I need to do is drag drop the blue blob from left to right, and now I'm presented with options. So if I want to make an action, say like I want to do who is on a particular IP address. So I'll do who is IP. I will select who is IP, and then for the IP, I will have to select the artifact. So artifacts are basically information within the containers. So when an event comes from enterprise security to Phantom, it's going to bring some artifacts. It's going to bring details about the incidents, which will be stored as artifacts. So I can use that information in the playbook. So basically, so if there's an IP address, if there's a source IP address, it would have the name source address. So I can simply select that and click save. And if I want to, display the results in the form of a comment, I can use this option to add it as a comment. Or if I want to add it as a note, also I can do it here, add note. And then for the content, I can, say results of the previous action. So I can see who is IP_1. That's the block that we had created previously. I can simply say type results, or I can simply say data. This is summary. So I can, for example, if I want to add the country code, I can say summary.country code. So from the summary information, I can get the country code, and that country code will be added as a note to the notes section. And if I want to end the playbook, I can simply drag the blue blob and connect it to this end, and that's it. I can click save to save the playbook. So the playbook editor has a debugger option using which we can debug the playbook. So if we want to run the playbook on a particular container, we can just enter the container ID here. So in our example, the container was 127. So I can take the 127 and run it. And this is of course not going to work because that container does not have that source address and information. But yes, so you can just input that information here and click on test, and it's going to run the automation, and then it's going to give the output. So it looks like it has found an IP. The IP is an internal IP, but yeah, since it's an internal IP, it's not going to produce any results. But yeah, so that's how you can easily create a playbook, test a playbook, and add it to your workbook, sorry. Okay, time for questions.
If anybody has any question, if anybody has any, hello everyone, if anybody has any question, please put it in chat room so we can answer.
Okay, so I have a question from Rahul. So question is, how does Splunk ES send data to SOAR? So as I said earlier, so both Splunk and SOAR has something called apps. So the apps are basically like plugins that allow the integration. So Splunk ES can leverage this integration and push the data to Phantom, or even Phantom can, Phantom has its app, has an app of its own, using which it can poll Splunk for data. Another question is on the license, how the license work. So the license basically is for Splunk Enterprise Security, it's a volume-based license. So basically depends on the amount of data that you ingest. For Splunk SOAR, the license is based on the number of seats. By seats, I mean the number of analysts who will need the login to the platform. So there is a question from Dinagar. What is the classification of risk that Splunk does, and how does it decide an incident is critical priority incident? Okay, good question. So Splunk has this framework called the asset and identity framework, where we load all the information about the assets. By assets, I mean the servers, network devices, and then your identities as well. So you basically tag the importance of the asset and the identity there. So say, for example, we have an asset called a Windows server, which is the Active Directory server. So it is very critical for every organization. So the importance will be very high. And when there is a detection for this asset, so based on this asset and identity framework, based on the importance setting in the asset and identity framework, the rules will automatically decide the risk score and the alert priority. So there is a complex logic behind it. So it will do some multiple iterations and then decide the risk score. So yeah, so and then the rules themselves will have some weightage to it. So the assets and identity works based on two things. So I think it's better if I show it. Let me quickly open that. So let me share my screen. So as you can see here, urgency is what we see in the incident. And when we go to configure a correlation rule, we will have to set two parameters. So one is the impact and the other is the priority. So let me take this as an example. Okay. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the access to add the response there. Let me open up another rule. So basically, when we are creating a rule, in the rule we can add the severity for the rule, and then there is an impact and then there's an impact score like a high, medium, or low, decided based on the asset and identity framework. So in the example that I gave you for the Active Directory server, the impact will be high. So and then the high impact score of the asset and then the severity score of the rule together will decide the urgency of the incident. I hope that answers the question. Okay, there are more questions. Can we integrate ES with ITSM applications like Jira, ServiceNow? Yes. So from ES, you can integrate with these third-party ITSM services, and you can send incidents directly to those ITSM services. What is the classification of risk that Splunk does, and how does it decide an incident is critical priority incident? So I'm not sure I understand that question, Dinagar. So if you can unmute and ask the question or rephrase the question, that would be helpful.
Hey, I think you.
Hello, Dinagar, you're not audible.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I was saying I think you've already answered the question about identifying your assets and then classifying it and then protecting it using the rules. Yeah, I think you've already answered that just a couple of minutes ago.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. I think we are almost out of time. So I think I'll pass it on to Vikas now. Let me present the presentation first. So I'll pass it on to Vikas now. Vikas, you can take it from here.
Yes. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for showing too much engagement and other things. So it's quiz time. So we will have 3 questions and you have to answer in chat. Just put whatever you answer in chat, and after finding out who is the best engagement and who provided the right answer, we will select 3 winners and we will provide some coupons to those winners. So let's start. Can we have first question? So first question is, what is name of the user who was compromised and disabled during our demo? So answer fast. Okay, let's go with the, okay, let's wait. The second quiz is, how many locations did the user log in from? Answer fast. You just have to put your answer in the chat. Okay, let's have our third quiz question. The question is, what artifacts were blocked by the automation? Quick answer. Thank you for answer. You can still answer. So yeah, we are still getting answer. That's great. Great. So in this slide, we are showing our few partners, like for the cloud and online services, Google, Facebook. For education, there's Imperial College of London, Stanford University. And for energy, there is a Train and NRNOC and those kind of partners. So we have all over the world different partner. For retail, we have Amazon, Coca-Cola, these kind of things. So if you are still figuring out the answer, you can still reply your answer in the chat. Okay, that's it. We are closing this now. And after going to the different answer, we will find out who are our 3 top participant, and for those for whom we will send gift coupon and gift vouchers over the email. And we will also share a webinar recording and this presentation deck with all of you. So if you have missed anything, don't worry, we will share everything with you for your further research. You can directly email us to us if you have any query at suzanne@positka.com, or you can also visit our website positka.com. And thanks. Morgan, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Vikas. Not much. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. I hope you have a nice rest of the day. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.